Hello, friends. I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. Today, I'm coming to you with a top 20 new to me games from 2023. Again, I did this in the middle of the year. My top 10 new to me games from 2023 up through the first 6 months. That came out early January. And so some of those games are going to be on this list, but there might be movement as I've played things more or less or whatever, and obviously added the new games into the list where they've slotted. So I'll kind of touch on that movement as we get through this list. But again, this is the new to me games that I played in 2023. These are not all 2023 games. There are going to be some 2023 games on the list, obviously, because I've played some of those. But there are going to be plenty of older games on the list as well. And if you've seen my list from prior month, the number one game from the first half of the month is right behind my head, Puerto Rico. We'll see where that ended up at the end of the year as things again have moved. Before we get into this list, I want to talk about how I put this list together. I put all 74 new to me games from 2023. That's right, 74 new to me games that I played this year into Pub Meeple. If you haven't checked out Pub Meeple, you really should. It's a good way to go through and just rack and stack list of various things. Board games is one of those things that they do. And all they're going to do is give you two options. You're going to pick which one of the two you like. Boom. And then it's going to pair up two more and rack them and stack them. And then you can kind of move them around as you see fit at the end. But that's how I did this list again. Basically just went, I like game A over game B. And that was based on what I felt when I did and I just did that, 2 days ago, I think. So it's going to be a lot of what's fresh on my mind at the time, but did I like game A or game B better? Boom. If it was better, then it's going to be higher up on this list or closer to number one. And if I didn't remember it as much or didn't care for it as much, then, it might have fallen off the list or been higher up. But that's how I did this. That's how I rack and stacked them using pubmeeple.com. Again, 74 games were eligible, 74 new to me games from 2023. There were 55 when I did this back in July. So only 19 more games have been played in the past 6 months. But again, I've been traveling basically halfway around the world most of the last 3 months. So that makes a lot of sense that I haven't got my hands on that many games since then. But 19 new games were eligible to bump things around. And I think you'll see how that played out. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish, maybe 7 or 8. So almost half the top 10 is from the 19 games again, because they're fresh on my mind. But also they've been good games. So however you want to see to it, that's where things ended up. And without further ado, let's get into the top 20. Starting with number 20, it's a good place to start, which was my number 10 on the prior list. It is a solo game from Garphill Games. Jeez, why was that so hard for me? I'm looking right, it's like right behind the camera even. Garphill Games, solo game, came out. I really enjoy this game. I just haven't played it in a long time. I've played halfway through the campaign. It is a campaign game. It's Legacy of You, if you haven't figured that part out yet. The Legacy of You. I'm still only halfway through the campaign. It's been a long time since I touched that game, and that probably explains why it's fallen down to number 10, or number 20 from number 10. It's a fun game. There are other games at the time that I liked more than it, but it's a really solid solo-only campaign-style game that I really need to dig back into because it is quite the thinky, fun Euro-style worker, not really worker placement, a little bit of worker placement, a lot of resource generation, card usage, just a lot goes into it. It's very good, well-made campaign-style game. I just need to get back to the table, and that's kind of why it's fallen to number 20. Number 19, new to me game of 2023. You wouldn't have seen it on the list, but I did keep track of the whole list as, I've gone through the year. And this was at the number 18 spot back then, so it's kind of fallen one spot. But now it shows up on the list. It's Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, the Crisis module. There are 3 new modules that came out this year, expansions for Ares Expedition, Terraforming Mars. I really enjoyed that game as a whole, and I still do enjoy the base game. The Crisis mode is the co-op Crisis module that they added, and you're going around, you're trying to keep Mars terraformed at that point. You start off terraformed, and calamities and things are happening to work towards unterraforming it, and you're basically playing Terraforming Mars in reverse, trying to, well, you're playing it the same way, but you're trying to keep it as terraformed as you can, because as it gets more and more unterraformed, the harder and harder it is for you to catch up. Enjoyable little card game that I really enjoy, and this is the co-op version of it, the Crisis module from Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Number 18, again, was one that was just off the list last time. I've enjoyed this. It was one of the first games I played in 2023 that was new to me. It might have been the first new to me game from 2023, and it's kind of fallen off the buzz all around. I haven't heard much conversation about it since the beginning of last year, and it's still a good game. It's a fun game. It's right here behind this shoulder. Right, I'm bad at this, but there it is. Boom. Endless Winter, Paleo Americans. Again, I haven't played this one probably since March or April, and I've only played it, no, I have played it with other people once or twice, but mostly I played it solo. And the solo mode's okay, it's kind of easy, so that's why I've just kind of stopped playing it. I introduced it again, like I said, to a group once or twice, but that was a while ago. Another one of those that just kind of hovers. It's a good game, it's a fun game, it's just not something I pulled out recently. I should. It's, again, a good game. I've just got so many other games that I've been playing, new and old, that it's just kind of petered out, but still a very good, fun game. It's number 18 of the new to me from 2023. Endless Winter, Paleo Americans. The number 17 new to me game from 2023 was just ahead of Endless Winter on the previous list that didn't exist because this was number 13. Endless Winter was number 14 on my top 10. So, again, you wouldn't have seen it. I might have mentioned them as honorable mentions. I don't remember. This is a Stonemaier game, an older Stonemaier game. It's Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. It's a worker placement. Your workers are your dice, and you're rolling them. And if you roll them too well, one of them is going to go away because they're getting too smart for their dystopia. It's good little dice worker placement and resource manipulation where you're just trying to get enough things done to be the first one to get all your stars onto the board, and there are various ways to do that through the worker placement and card actions. So it's a very fun, thinky Euro-style game by far. I really enjoy Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. It's just another one, like, I would love to play it on the table again. It was just a little bit hard to teach. I don't have the official solo module, and I don't like using the computer to play a solo game, so once I can get my hands on the expansion with the solo module, I think it's actually available again now, so I'll have to look when I can afford to do that. Right now it's just not the best time for me. I just moved across the world, so but I do want to get my hands on the actual solo module so I can play it more. And again, if I could find a group that I feel I could handle it a little better to teach it to a group, I'd love to get it back to the table. But right now it's number 17 new to me, Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. Again, it's just another one that it's just been lack of plays, so that's why it's kind of falling back. This list is going to be a lot of, Cult of the New, just because that it's on top of the mind. It's the ones I'm more reaching for now than the things I played earlier in the year. So it's got to be really good to stick around, I think, 6 months, 8 months later. But all these are still very good games. Nothing in this top 20 is a game I would not play immediately if somebody asked me to. Number 16 was number 7 on the list last time. So this one's fallen quite a bit. It might be the furthest faller. Let me do quick math. That one fell 9. That one fell 8. Yeah, it looks like, well, Legacy of You fell 10. So I guess that was the furthest faller. But this one's right behind it. It fell 9 spots from number 7 to number 16. It's Vinhos. And this is a Vital Lacerda game. I like the theme of vineyards and building vineyards and making wines and trying to submit them to the fair fest. I forget what it's called officially, but like basically at the end of every season, you're going to submit one wine and you're racing for points. It's a Vital Lacerda game, which means it's a pretty heavy game. It's a tight action, tight resources management, tight everything. Super thinky, very heavy Euro-style game about maintaining vineyards and making wine for submission to the festival. Really good game. Really enjoy it. I don't care for the way the solo mode is scored, and I've only played it solo, so that's kind of why it's kind of fallen off. It's still fun, and again, it's another one. If I could find the right group to play this with, I would love to get this to the table again some more. But for now, it's Still a fun game that I'll play from time to time solo. I just don't like the final scoring for the solo mode, and so it's kind of fallen back because of that. Number 15 was just off the list at number 12 in the previous list. It is another Stuff on Feld. We're not another Stuff on Feld game, the first one on the list, but there was a bunch of them on my favorites list from last year, and I really enjoy Stuff on Feld, and so the more of them I play, the more of them I tend to enjoy. This is Amsterdam. Amsterdam is a game where you've got a spinning dial, and every round you're going to spin it and collect whatever had been reserved on it. You're rolling dice, and basically the dice are going to determine what you're going to put where on the spinner, and then you're going to take actions on the board using those cubes that you've gotten. So some rounds you might have a huge wealth of cubes to take a lot of actions or a few expensive actions, and other rounds you might only get 1 or 2 cubes to use where you're just kind of saving up and doing a little bit here and there. It's got area control aspects, it's got moving down tracks aspects, it's got card collection, it's got card fulfillment because you got to fulfill cards. If you don't have cards fulfilled at the end of the game, that's negative points. It's got a lot of thinky stuff going on, and you're basically setting yourself up with your choices at the beginning of each round for future rounds or for current rounds. I just really enjoy Amsterdam. It's based on a previous game, and I don't remember offhand which game it was. If I remember to and look it up, or hey, Brian, when you're editing this, put it up there. The previous game that this is based off of. This is not a new game, but this is one that's been reconceptualized with the Queen Cities collection. Number 14, new to me game for 2023, and this one was actually number 15 when it wasn't on the prior list, but it's actually, I've played it more, I'm still enjoying it, and it's a game you might have seen if you watched last week's video. It got a golden gizmo just now. It's New York Zoo, Uwe Rosenberg game where you're just filling up a zoo, and the first one to complete their board with polyomino tiles is the winner. So New York Zoo, it's very easy, lightweight, fun. Doesn't take that long. You can play it with pretty much anyone. Obviously, you want to introduce it to the littlest of kids, but my daughter, 10 going on 11, she's enjoyed it, but I would say 7, 6, 8 is probably a safe range to play at least the lighter I think it has an easier version. Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, it's not overly complex, but it is thinky enough that, everybody can enjoy it, not just, kids. Number 13, new to me game from 2023 is the first new to this list game, which means I've played it since July onward. This is another Garphill Games. This is Scholars of the South Tigris. This is one where you're using workers to manipulate dice and dice colors, and the worker colors are going to meld together and cause dice to change colors, so you can use different actions because the dice you use are going to dictate the actions you have available for the most part based on their sum value and their color value. Because if you want to take an orange action, you need orange dice, but maybe you don't have an orange dice. Maybe you've just got a white and a red dice, but if you add a yellow die to the white die, that makes the white die a yellow die. Now you have a yellow die and a red die, and those two combine to make orange because red and yellow make orange if you've learned colors back in the 3rd grade. It's very thinky compared to a lot of other Garphill games. In fact, their whole South Tigris series has been very thinky, and they're all based on the dice color manipulation, worker placement, action placement, however you want to call it. They've been fun. Wayfarers of the South Tigris, Scholars of the South Tigris, and upcoming Inventors of the South Tigris coming this year. I'll share that kind of theme, action-ish manipulation, but they're all different. I'll say that. But Scholars of the South Tigris, fun game. Number 13, new to me game. I enjoy it, but it's a little more complex than I might like. So it's just not something I'm super eager to pull out over other more complex games. And that's all it is to it. It's still fun. I still enjoy it. Again, that's true of every one of these games. Number 12, new to me game from 2023. This one has fallen quite a bit too, and this is literally because I haven't played it for real, and I haven't played it in forever. It's such a good game, but I just don't remember much about it because the one time I played it was on Board Game Arena way back in March-ish. This is Obsession. It was number 4 on the previous top 10, and it's fallen down to number 12, literally because of lack of plays. I know it's a good game. I want to play it again. I want to get my hands on a real copy of it because I don't fully count anything I play on Board Game Arena. I'm counting it. Obviously, it's on the list. But I just want to play the physical version. I want to get into the solo mode. I want to feel the cards and the tiles on the board. It's tile drafting, using workers to use the tiles. You have to turn in your card. You have guest cards that you have to use, workers you have to use. It's you're setting up goals. I wish I remembered more about it. It was really fun, really enjoyable game. People are still talking about Obsession. It came out, I think, 2019, 2018. It's not a new game, but it's still fresh on people's minds. People are still talking about how good of a game it is. And it is a good game. I really want to play it again. I just haven't in 8 months, I don't think. And that's why it's fallen 8 slots. Just so many more games I played more recently. They're more fresh in my mind. And again, I don't even fully consider Obsession as a real play because I just played it on Board Game Arena. Number 11, new to me game from 2023 is another new to the list game that I just recently got right before I moved. Played it a couple times. Really enjoy it. Haven't played this with people yet. It's Teotihuacan, City of Gods. And this is another dice manipulation game where you're using the dice on the board and moving them around, and based on the values of the dice and how many dice you have at a spot, you're going to collect things or take certain level actions, and you're just trying to race up tracks and race up, collecting, building towards the temple, whatever the case is. Multiple ways to score. It's a very good game. I've heard a lot of things about it. It's one of the T games. People talk about the T games from Board and Dice a lot. This is the only one I've played, but this is a super, super fun dice movement, manipulation, resource drafting, or collection and utilage game. Tight actions again. I really like those tight, thinky movement games. You've only got so many turns. This one's not super limited, but based on how the dice level up, that's going to speed the game along. It's Teotihuacan, City of Gods. Right there at number 11. So we're going to get into the top 10 right after a short break from me that you won't even notice. But I'll notice. I'll be right back. And I am back. You've been here the whole time, I hope. Maybe you took a break too. I don't know. But we're getting into the top 10 new to me games from 2023, starting with the one that was number 3 on the previous list. So it's fallen 7 slots. And that's, again, lack of play. And I think I've kind of found games that I like a bit more than this one. Still a good game, still a fun game. Still top 10 new to me game from 2023. But it has fallen, and it might continue to fall if I can't play it more and reignite the love I had for it. And that is Troy. I'm not French. I say this every time I've mentioned this game this year. Troyes. I did get the expansion, and I haven't played it with the expansion yet, which adds kind of a wild workers. But this game is a dice drafting game that you're using a lot of those in a row, I think. But you're drafting dice from kind of a shared pool because everybody's going to put their dice into the middle of the board, and you can have your dice for free, but also you can pay to use other people's dice. So if you don't have the dice you need, but someone else does, you just give them the coins for using that dice, and that's neat. So it's a shared but not shared, so you can get kind of upset if somebody takes your dice, but you're getting reimbursed for it. But that's not as good maybe as using the die you plan on using, because there's 3 color dice and you have to use the right color dice to take the right actions. And if once those red dice are gone, then you're not getting those red die actions. But anyway, the Troyes, I really enjoy this game. It's a good, fun, again, another tight action game because you're playing 3 or maybe 4 rounds of dice using, and once the dice are used for each round, or everybody's just passed for the round, you're moving on to the next round. And that's it. And once it's over, and hopefully you've done enough to work towards your private objective goals, but your private objective goals are also public or shared goals. Just nobody knows what they are until the end of the game. So you can kind of assume what they are. If somebody's collecting a lot of money, I'm going to assume their private goal is probably money collection, but maybe it's not. So I might want to make sure I'm not spending all my money if I want to try to score on their scoring card too. It's just really neat. I like that kind of concept of semi-knowledge of the end-game goals, but not full knowledge other than the one goal you have. I like the dice, drafting and using manipulation. You're not really manipulating. You're using them to take the various actions on the board. You've also got to buy into the action before you can take it with one of your workers or cubes or whatever you want to call them. Before you can even use an action card, you have to have bought into it. And you're kind of racing to get those points because the first one to buy into an action card gets higher point values than the second person. And then I think after that, like, you can buy another card, but you're not getting any points for it. So you got to kind of balance whether you want to only get points for buying in the cards or if you really need to take those actions and just, forego those points because you need the action. Just a lot of neat things in Troyes. I really like it, but I don't know. It's fallen off. Haven't played in a while, and I've just found other games that kind of do similar things that I've enjoyed too. All right, now to a run of a bunch of new games on the list. Games I've gotten recently. Again, I said this list is probably going to favor Cult of the New, Cult of the Now, because I've just played them more recently, so they're fresher on the mind. But anyway, a lot of these are pretty good games, and that's why they're on the list too. Anyway, number 9, new to me game from 2023 is one of the games I just received after my move back to the States and just played it in the last month or so. It's another Stonemaier game. It's Apiary. It's another kind of dice worker, but you're not rolling. Got bees that have 4 values, 1 through 4. And as you use the value, when you get them back, they're going to level up. And they're also going to earn you things based on what you have in your hive for when they come back. It's got tile placement. You trying to use your workers to get tiles. You're using your workers to get resources. You're using your workers to turn in things to get other things. And as your bees level up and evolve, and I don't remember the exact terminology, they're actually going to disappear, but you're going to be able to take part in the area control at the bottom of the board. And once the bottom of the board is filled in from everybody's bee tokens for the area control part, that's when the game ends. So you want to use your bees. The better they are, the more value they're going to be on the board, but the sooner they're going to disappear and you're going to have to buy them back with an action later. So just a lot of neat things. Worker bumping in this one, worker placement. So you're not blocking, you're bumping. So maybe you're going to a place thinking other people are going to go there too, and you're going to get that bee right back after you get the action. You're going to get it back, and it's going to be even better bee for your next turn. Or maybe they don't do that, and now you've got the bee sitting there until you take it back with an action, which is kind of I wouldn't say wasted action because you're getting things, but it's not an official action. So it's got a lot of that stuff going on. I just really enjoy the gameplay of Apiary. It wasn't a game that I was interested in at first, but once I got to see more about how it played and stuff, my interest really peaked, and now that I've played it, I do enjoy it. It's another fun Stonemaier game. Despite, I don't care about the bee theme, space bee. What it could have been regular bees, it would have played the same. It could have been almost any other theme, and it would have played the same. So whatever. But Apiary is a fun little worker placement and worker bumping game. Number 8 is the second Vital Lacerda game on the list, and my favorite of the two I've played, obviously. Another designer I just got into this past year, and again, it's another heavy game, but this one's not as heavy as Vinhos. This is Kanban EV. In this game, you're taking one of 5 action spots in various places of building and designing and testing vehicles, cars, whatever you want to call them. And then you're appeasing your boss. What's her name? I don't remember now. But there's a boss that goes around too, and she's going to do things based on where she's at, and based on how well you've done those things, she's going to evaluate you. And if you're the worst one at doing that specific thing, it's going to be a negative impact on you. And then you're going to score at the end of each round and at the end of the game based on what you've kind of manipulated with testing cars, building cars, upgrading cars, researching cars. I don't remember what all the action, but you're doing all kinds of car type building, development, testing things. it's neat. It's fun. I really enjoy it. It's a good thinky. It doesn't feel as heavy as it probably actually is when you play it. Again, this is one I've only played solo, but I kind of like the solo play of and scoring of this one also better than Munoz. So, and I like the theme better. I like the action just slightly better. Well, actually, I don't think I like the theme better. I'm not a car person. I'm definitely more of a wine person, but the play style I like better, I guess, and that's why it kind of overrides Munoz for me too. Good game. I'm looking forward to playing some more Vital Lacerda games in the future. They've been decent, really heavy, thinky, fun games. Kanban EV, my number 8, new to me game. Number 7, new to me game from 2023 is Parks, a game I had been interested in ever since I first heard about it. You're using your worker, not even really worker, your traveler, whatever you want. You got 2 travelers, and they're going to move down tracks and collect things, and you can't move backwards. It's ratchets, whatever you want to call that system. And once you get to the end, you know they're camping for the night, and when your second one gets there, then you're out of the round, but everybody else gets to keep going. So you're weighing how far down the track do I really need to go, versus, you know, how many things do you want to try to get in before you're forced to end the round? Because if you're the last person on the track, then you're done too. So you can't play it slow, and you also can't double up on positions without paying for it once, I think, around. So you're also fighting for the slots, and you're working to build parks or collect parks, whatever you want to call it, by getting resources and then turning them in and using the collect parks action to get them. And it's just a really fun little, not heavy weight game. The artwork is great. The playstyle is pretty easy, but it's got enough thinkiness in it. Just an enjoyable, relatively quick playing game, and that is Parks. Number 6, favorite new to me game for 2023 is an Alexander Pfister game. I played last year. Great Western Trail, I think, was on the list. This year, Boone Lake is on the list. I really like Boone Lake. You're putting things on the board. I like the tile selection because basically there's 6 or 7 tiles that are action tiles, and you're gonna pick one. And the higher up on the thing it is, the stronger it is, and the more movement down the river you're gonna get. But if you really want a more recent, if your opponent selected the action that you were going to select and it's at the bottom, because as you select it's going to go back down to the bottom, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pay to use that, but you can still do it, but it's going to be a little bit weaker and you're going to have to pay for it versus if you take an action further up the list. I just really like that. As the action selections come in, they're going to move up and down the list, up and down the track. You're moving down the river further and further the higher up your action was, and you're just racing to take possession of various tiles on the board, collect those resources, turn resources to collect cards to use to make your town, your boon, whatever, stronger on the lake. It's been a while since I played this one. This is one of the ones I think I played back in July, so it just missed the previous list. But it's a really fun, thinky, good little game. Boone Lake, Alexander Pfister. I really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to playing again, hopefully soon. Got a lot of games I want to play soon. Not enough time. Ain't that the life? All right, anyway, number 5 actually moved up, down, one better. It was number 6 in my previous top 10, which means it probably actually moved even further, comparatively speaking, because there are new games that bump things around. But this is a game that I've played it a lot, and it's the last, I think, let me look, the last Garphill game on the list, but it's also the oldest one on the list. It's Architects of the West Kingdom, one of the original Garphill game, not, North Sea. Those 3 games came first, but then Architects of the West Kingdom, I think, was their 4th game, and probably my favorite Garphill game still. Maybe Wayfarers, I don't know. But Architects of the West Kingdom, I really enjoyed this one. People I played it with have enjoyed it. It's worker placement, but the more workers you have out, the stronger and stronger your working action is going to be. But the neat thing about this game is there's an action that lets you collect other people's workers and then maybe turn them into the jail and get some money. So yes, you can build up a bunch of workers on the forest and gain a bunch of wood every time you go there, but people are seeing you do that, so they might go there and round up all those workers, and now you're going to have to go back to square one in the forest and get one wood at a time. It's just really neat give and take of how much am I going to let them build up, because they're getting a lot of gold, and I really need to stop them from doing that, but I really need to do what I need to do too, so I don't know that I want to waste an action to collect them to stop them. Just a neat, worker placement game, and that's kind of what Garphill has done with a lot of their games, is just kind of made a little bit of twist on the traditional worker placement style. Have all the expansions for Architects of the West Kingdom, so just different various ways to play and manipulate the actions and what you're building. We can build the monuments, or we can build the cathedral, or we can build our individual houses that we're collecting, things we're collecting. I just really like Architects of the West Kingdom. I played this a bunch in almost every player count at this point, and it's just been really enjoyable, and that's why it has actually moved more better on the ladder, up, down, whatever. It went from 6 to 5 6 months later, and I still enjoy playing Architects of the West Kingdom. Number 4 on this list was number 1 on the prior list. Puerto Rico, right there. I've only played that game once. I got it from the library, and we played it, and it's so enjoyable. It just really stuck with me, and I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed the play of it. You're going to pick an action, and everybody's going to take that action, but the person picked it's going to take it at a stronger level, and then it's out for the round, I think. I don't remember exactly how that works, but you take the action tile, you do the action stronger. Everybody does the action if they can and if they want to, and then you keep doing that for rounds, and then you reset the board, and you're just building up your area, trying to build into it, whether it's farms or buildings or whatever, and everything you do is going to give you stronger abilities to do more and more things and more points at the end of the game. It's a fun game. I need to get it played again. I just purchased a used copy because that's how much I really liked the game. I wanted to get my hands on it, and was finally able to, but I haven't got it back to the table yet since acquiring it. It's one of those ones that I want to read through and get back on the table one more time real quick. All right. Number 3, new to me game from 2023 was actually number 2 on the previous list. So it's actually jumped Puerto Rico again. No fault of Puerto Rico. I played Puerto Rico once. I really enjoyed it to the point where it really stuck out when I did this list last time. But the other game, I've just played a bunch more. We've played a bunch more. We've all enjoyed it. It's still such a fun, great game, and it is Heat, Pedal to the Metal. What can I say? It's a great racing game. Card, not really draft a little bit, but card using, deck, not really even building, but deck using, deck drafting, playing, whatever you want to call it, race around the track, try not to spin out, do what you can, and it's the best race game I've played. Not saying I've played many, but it's just so good. We've had so much fun. I still want to play it constantly. I want to introduce it to new people. It's so good. So it plays fast. It's relatively easy to teach, and that's why it's stuck around here at number 3 when it was number 2 at the beginning of the year. It's been one of my favorite games of the year, but just in general, one of my favorite games to play, period. I've just really enjoyed Heat, Pedal to the Metal, and it's still right here in my top 3 new to me games from 2023, even though I played it, I think I got it in February-ish, but I've been playing it all year. Probably my most played game of the year. My number 2 and number 1 are both new games that I've played since July. One of them is really new. I just got my hands on it when I arrived back in the United States. I actually bought it when I was in Ohio in the middle of December, and I've played it 2 or 3 times since then. It's been enjoyable, and it's my number 2. it is the White Castle. I've just really enjoyed playing the White Castle. Again, it's another dice. I guess that's my thing. Dice manipulation, dice using whatever. Shared dice pool. You're drafting a dice from the pool and using it for your action. And you're going to do that 3 times in a round for 3 rounds. You get 9 actions, but you can compound those actions based on what you do, because you can take actions that trigger other actions if you've got the resources to do so. And it's great thinky, really heavy, well, not super heavy, but you've got to put a lot of thought into getting the most out of every turn. You've got to set yourself up. Some of your turns might just be, one action of taking resources, but your next action might be an action that triggers, 2 or 3 actions because you have those resources now. And it's just a lot of fun in a small box. Should have grabbed the box. It's a small box, packs a punch, 9 actions, dice drafting from a shared pool. So somebody might share the die or steal the die you were planning on using. They might even block you from a spot because you can only go to each spot up to 2 times in a game. I think just once in a 2-player game even. I'm not 100% on that, but I think the board's not dual-sided. I've only played this solo and at 4, so 2-player and 3-player, I can't tell you if it's a whole lot different, but I do know that I've enjoyed it both solo and at 4. It's just my kind of game, a game where you're using tight actions, tight, limited options, and you're just trying to make the most out of the resources, the actions, and what's available, and what people have done around you might make you have to, on the fly, come up with a new decision, a new thought point that you hadn't really planned on because they stole your die or your action, or you were one resource short of what you thought you were going to do. That happened to me too, where I was like, I'm going to do that and that and that and that. Oh, I don't have enough food to do all that. I need one more food. All right, well, can I get a food if I do? It's so much thinky goodness. I really enjoy the White Castle. But not as much as I've enjoyed my number 1 new to me game from 2023, an old classic that is well deserved of wherever it's on the board game top 100. I know it's in there. I didn't look up ahead of time. But The Castles of Burgundy. It's a Stefan Feld game. I really enjoy Stefan Feld games. It's just, again, you're using 2 dice in a round, and based on their values are the actions you're going to be limited to, and you're trying to draft tiles into your village, and you've got to touch whatever's there already. They've got dice values on the board that you have to meet. You can manipulate them if you've got the right resources to turn in and make those dice value better or higher or lower, I should say. So that way you can actually use them the way you want to use them. It's a lot of thinky goodness. A shared pool of tiles being drafted from. So someone might steal the one you're eyeballing, and now you got to rethink. Each tile is going to do a different thing when you draft it, whether it's going to be giving you an immediate benefit, ongoing benefits, end of game scoring, current scoring. Could give you those, like I said, ways to manipulate the dice. It's just, there's a lot of goodness going on in what's really a simple concept. Roll 2 dice, use those 2 dice to take actions based on their values. Draft things into your board. Score. But I just really enjoyed Castles of Burgundy. I'm so happy with my purchase of the special edition this past year. Looking forward to getting it out and playing it again. I think I've said that about every single one of these games, and it's true. All these games, all 20 of these games have been great. I hope you've enjoyed seeing me reminisce on the games I played over the past year in 2023. And yeah, that's the list. That's the top 20. We'll come back probably in July and look at my top 10 games from 2024. Hopefully shortly have you, if I do it. I haven't 100% decided yet what I'm anticipating for 2024. And some of those games hopefully will show up next year on this very list. But I hope you enjoyed looking at my top 20 from 2023. Again, almost none of these games, I think 4 or 5 of these games were even from 2023 games. And that tells you just I'm getting my hands on what I can and enjoying what I can. And I hope you do the same when you game and continue to play what you like. I will continue to play what I like. And I'll see you next time. Bye.